Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about areas of circles, and this is chapter 11.2 in our textbook. Our objectives for today are going to be to find the area of a circle and also to find the area of a sector. Now, before we begin, I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between area and circumference. So, in this animation that I have here, notice we have an outer blue ring, and inside I'm going to fill or color it with that light blue. So my question here is, what is the difference between area and circumference, and what does each measure? Now, if you answered area tends to measure the space that an object takes up, or in other words, it measures the square units that an object takes up, you're right. And circumference measures the outer, what many people will call the perimeter. So circumference measures just the outer distance here, or in other words, perimeter, whereas area measures the space that a two-dimensional object takes up, which is commonly expressed in square units. All right, think of a pizza's cheese versus a pizza's crust. The crust can be thought of as the outer ring, the distance around, whereas the cheese represents all the space that the circle takes up. So, not a perfect analogy, but something that might help you realize cheese is like your area, crust is like your circumference. Now, here is a formula. I'm not going to go into how it's developed because we don't have the time to do that, but it's a formula that you've probably seen in middle school or in a previous math class, and it tells us that the area of a circle is pi times the square of its radius. So A is equal to pi r squared. So make sure you write that down. Now, there is a way to help you remember these two very similar looking formulas. So, chocolate pie's delicious. Excuse the grammatical error, but that's done on purpose. Chocolate pie's delicious. Apple pies are 2. Okay, so circumference is pi d. Now you also know that circumference is also 2 pi r. And that's what a lot of students confuse the area of a circle with. 2 pi r is not the same as pi r squared. They both do contain the number 2, but it's used in very different ways in each formula. But remember this, chocolate pie is delicious, C is equal to pi d. Apple pies are 2, A is equal to pi r squared. So let's go ahead and try our first example. So for example 1a, we're going to find the area of circle P, and we're going to round to the nearest hundredths place. And for example 1b, we're going to find the radius of a circle with an area of 96 square feet. All right, so for A, I'm going to write out the formula for the area of a circle. I'm going to plug in the radius of 2.5. And I've written the answer out in 2 ways. One way is as we mentioned before, is called the exact answer. And this is the answer with pi still in. And the other one is called the approximate answer. All right, now on your next test, I may ask you for one or both forms. Although here it does say round to the nearest hundredths place. So we are technically looking for the 19.63 as our answer. But I want you to be familiar with both the exact answer, which leaves pi, and the approximate answer, which multiplies by pi. All right, for 1b, we're going to go ahead and write out the formula for the area of a circle. Notice you are given the area. So I am going to go ahead and plug that in. So 96 is equal to pi r squared. All right, now I'm going to have to divide both sides by pi. All right, and what that is going to do is leave us with r squared. Okay, now you can go ahead and leave 96 over pi just as it is, because we're going to have to take one more step. And that's going to be to square root each side. And when we square root each side, you can actually type this whole expression in your calculator. Radical 96 over pi. That way you don't do any rounding till the very end. And your answer is 5.53 feet. Okay, so remember, when you're finding an area, you express area in square units. So that's why our first answer was 19.63 square inches. Since we're finding a radius here, we're going to express our answer just in feet, in linear feet as we call it. No square, and our r is 5.53. Alright, so please pause the video and give these two problems a try, and we will go over the solution as soon as you're ready. Okay, so for part A, we are taking just the radius. So see where the number is placed? It's right in the middle, which tells us our radius is 7.5. So that would be halfway from the center to the edge of the circle. Here is our exact answer, 56.25. And I hope you guys can see that. Our approximate answer is 176.71 square inches. All right, on part B, we plug in our area, 153.94. Don't plug in the units. You don't need to do that here. Divide both sides by pi. Take the square root of 153.94 divided by pi, and you will end up with an answer of about 7.00 feet. So since we're rounding to the nearest hundredths, that's why we wrote 0.00. All right, here's a question I want you to try out really quickly also. Would you rather have two 12-inch medium pizzas, 12 inches being the diameter, or would you rather have one 18-inch large pizza? Let's assume the prices of both are the same. Which would give you more food for your money? Okay, go ahead and pause the video and try that out. Okay, so you'll be surprised. I came across this problem on Instagram one day, and the 18-inch pizza has more area when compared to those two 12-inch pizzas. Again, you might be surprised. An 18-inch pizza has 254 square inches of area, and two 12-inch pizzas have 226 square inches. So you multiply 2 times pi times r squared. Here, pi times 9 squared. And again, the two 12-inch pizzas have more pizza. The one 18-inch pizza has more pizza than the two 12-inch pizzas. Very surprising, but it's the truth. All right, moving on. We have something in math called a sector. And a sector is a region bounded by its central angle and its corresponding arc. So here's a central angle here, and you have the corresponding arc. So I don't know if you guys notice a theme here, but a sector is just like a slice of pizza, like a perfectly cut slice from the center. Oops, sorry. All right, so here is a formula that I want you to copy down, very important. Area of a sector is n over 360 times pi r squared times the area of the whole circle. So think of this as A. So you're just taking a portion over 360 of the entire circle's area, n over 360 times pi r squared. Please write that down. Okay, now yes, that formula looks very, very familiar because in chapter 11.1, I gave you the formula for the arc length. The arc length of a circle is n over 360 times the circumference times c. Okay, now the area of a sector is n over 360 times a. So both formulas are nearly identical, except one uses the circumference and is just asking for a piece of your circumference, whereas the other formula wants a piece of your area. So keep those in mind, write those in somewhere in your notes and put a star next to them because you're going to be using those in our next quiz. All right, so in this example, we're going to find the areas of these sectors formed by angle UTV. We're going to round to the nearest hundredth. All right, so there's our formula there. We're going to take the 70 degree, the small sector, over 360 times pi times a radius of 8 squared, and you can type all this in your calculator and you'll get 39.10 square inches. A sector is still an area, so you've got to put square units. Now you have a large sector in there, and I know a slice of pizza would never look like that, but that arc is 290 degrees. Because remember, there's 360 degrees worth of arcs on your circle. So if this is 70, then that other weirdly sliced pizza would be 290. So you type in 290 over 360 times pi r squared, and you will get 161.97 square inches. So let me show you how you can type that in using the Google calculator. 290 divided by 360. Notice I'm grouping this together, times, and we're going to take pi times 8 squared. Now if you realize that's 64, you can just type in 64, and we're going to get 161.97 rounded to the nearest hundredths place. Okay, so just go ahead, type all that in your calculator, and you are good to go. All right, please pause the video and try this out. Find the area of the sectors formed by angle FDE. Round to the nearest hundredth and check back once you're finished. All right, so here is our solution. Your small sector starts off with a 120 degree arc. So this is 120 and that goes here. That's what we called N in our formula. And you might notice a radius here of 14. R is 14. So we're going to plug in R right here, R squared. Type all that in your calculator. So 120 over 360 is a third. You can simplify that. Make that 1/3. 1/3 times pi times 14 squared gives you an area of approximately 205.25 square feet. All right, now for the large sector, remember this is like a weird slice of pizza because it goes this way. This slice that looks like Pac-Man has a 240 degree arc, and you divide that by 360 and multiply by pi times 14 squared, and your answer will be approximately 410.50 square feet. Remember, a sector is an area. Leave it with square units. All right, one last problem. Example number 3. Find the area of the entire circle V given the area of the 40 degree sector. So this is going to involve some algebra. So I'm going to write out the formula for the area of a sector. And notice that I am just writing, let's use purple here. Notice I just wrote A. I did not write pi r squared because we want the full area of the circle. So I wouldn't want to write pi r squared. Don't write that. That's going to make your life a lot more complicated. Go ahead and just use the letter A. Okay? Now, I'm going to plug in the 35 that I know that was given. So that's this part given right over here, 35. And now I plug in 40 over 360. So kind of like what we did in the last section, I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. 360 over 40. I'm going to do that to both sides. This is going to simplify and make 1. On this side, I just need to multiply 360 over 40, which is 9, by the way. 9 times 35. And I'm going to get a solution of 315 square meters for the entire circle. All right, so we're out of time. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Have a great day, everyone.